Okay, so here we go. I don't know if you can see these tubes. I'll try to hold them up in front of the camera there. They've got a little lip on one end and the Flow logo on the other side. What you do is you insert these into that bottom circular hole there. After you take the cap off, there's another cap on the top which you remove, and then you insert this fancy L-shaped key. I'm going to go part way in so that the whole frame doesn't drain at once. I saw some videos where some people did the whole frame at one time and it plugged up in the bottom there and started dripping and overflowing into the rest of the hive. Obviously not something you want. The bees will reclaim the majority of that honey, but what we want is for that honey to go into the jars. So I'm only going to do it part way at a time. I apologize ahead of time. I may be blocking the camera at some points, but I am solo here, so everybody else is out. So I don't have a helper to make sure that they get a good angle for you. But we'll do the best we can. Like I said, we're only going to do one, maybe two frames, depending on the rate of flow right now. And then I've got to figure out how to get that trough system that my father-in-law wanted to set up going. So let me just take the bottom cap off as a first step. Let's do this guy here. I'm using pliers because obviously the bees have sealed up this area quite good, and you can see, maybe you can see on the cap there, a little bit of the wax or propolis that they use to do that. That's fine. Again, inserting with the tab under the little lip here, just so that the honey comes out and doesn't spill. And we'll adjust our jars and our makeshift table accordingly. We want the honey to flow obviously directly into the jars, not anywhere else. I'm under no illusion that this will be a mess-free procedure, but we'll see what we can do. Top one doesn't, the bees don't get access up there, so there was no sealing of that. I could just take that out with my my fingers. Now, the way that these hives work, if you've looked at anything online, there's two slots. There's a bottom slot and an upper slot, and the bottom slot is the one you put the key in to open the cells, and the top one is the one you put the key in to close. So pretty self-explanatory once you get the concept. So we're just going to try to crack probably about a quarter of the frames to see, basically to see what happens. And you just gotta turn it. Obviously there's going to be some resistance from all that wax, but you can feel it when you're turning the key. You can feel it give, and the cells open up. So we'll just do that a little bit, and you can see at the bottom there, you can see the honey starting to drain, and that's pretty cool. Now this one has a little bit of a friend in there. We're going to try to grab that friend as he comes out. There we go. I have no idea what that friend is, but we'll get a closer look at him and look him up online too, just in case that's something that's absolutely not good. But you can see the honey dripping out of that frame, and it's frankly going all over the place, which is kind of cool. Let me try to grab the camera here. I apologize for the shakiness as I take it off its another MacGyvered stand we've got here, and show you the view from the back. The sun is pretty bright in my eyes, so I can't really see the screen, but hopefully you guys can see the honey dripping out of those cells towards the top of the frame there. You can see the air getting in and them emptying out, and obviously it's dripping quite nicely into the jar. And you can see already in the however many seconds we've been filming, we've got a good inch and a bit of honey. So we're going to put this back in the stand because I feel that I'm going to need my hands to do stuff in a minute. Again, apologize for the jerkiness of the camera, and I hope that gives you a good view of what's going on. But it's flowing quite quickly, and the bees are, wondering what's going on in there. Obviously, we've cracked some of their cells open, and what they'll do is they'll take the wax off the outside of that. Notice that, hey, there's no honey in here anymore. Repurpose that wax and start refilling those cells as the need arises for them. But we've got a half a jar right now, which is pretty cool. It's still flowing quite fast out of those out of that tube and out of the frames. We've got one guy sitting on this side here, wondering what's going on. So I may have to get some saran wrap or something to put over the top of this as it's draining, just so the bees don't get in there and try to reclaim that honey right away. I've also got a few small ants in and about the bottom of the hive. What I read online and what I understand is the ants show up when the honey's ready to go. So that's also a good sign as to what's going on. But the bees are loving. I'm going to put this key in a little bit further, open a few more of those cells. I think we're in about halfway now, and just crack those guys open. Yeah, you do get the feel of it after doing it a couple times, knowing when it's open and when it's cracked and when it's not. There's some resistance, and then all of a sudden it'll give, and those cells will separate. If you remember the design of the flow hive, it's half a cell and half a cell made of plastic, and when you open that key, it splits, and the honey just drips out to the bottom and into your jars. But it's going quite a bit faster actually than I thought it would. There's that guy that's a little curious. Hopefully he won't bring his friends. But it's flowing pretty good, and you can see how clear and how pure this is. I mean, this is straight from the hive honey, and as I'm sure my brother-in-law will remind me, it's good on toast and in tea. So hopefully he's got his ready. Maybe we'll label this jar Mark's first jar of honey. I'm interested to see how this honey differs in taste, if at all, from the ones that my in-laws collected a couple of weeks ago in Port Dover. When we talked to Mark at Hunt's Honey, he suggested that different seasons of the year have different flavors, and even different regions of the province or country or world, I guess, have slightly different flavors as well. So I'm interested to understand what that's all about and see how different these tastes actually are. So we're going to switch jars here, and this is where some of the mess will come in. But that's pretty fantastic. That's a full jar of very clear and delicious looking honey. So while that drips, I'll let you watch that for a little bit. Hopefully you have the ability to speed things up, because that's what it's going to look like for a little bit of time. I'll go get some lids and make sure that we can cap this liquid gold off pretty good. Back. I capped off that other one. We're just going to put the key in the rest of the way. We're going to let these girls go about their business, hopefully somewhere else. And you can feel when it gets to the end. Oh, well, that's not good. That one got a little bit too curious as to what was going on, so I will have to get her out of that honey. Let me just crack the rest of these. There we go. And let them flow into that new jar, and I will go take take that curious little one out of the jar. Okay, rescued and safely in the garden. She'll find her way back. I'll just put that one there as jar to use next. You'll notice I put the cap on it so that we didn't get any more contamination. Now I also want to check the bottom of the hive to see if any honey is dripping all the way through. That would, and there is a little bit there, just a very little bit. Bees will recollect that without any trouble and bring it back to the hive appropriately. So this is what's going to happen for the next little while. I mean, it's going to drain. It's going to get slower and slower as it gets emptier and emptier, but I'll fill up as many jars as I can. I think I'll probably do 2 frames now and then wait till other people get home so that they can see some of this process and maybe do the rest of them. Definitely the 4 inner frames, and actually the one on the house side looks to be quite full. The one on the outside here looks good in the middle. There's a lot of open cells in this side over here, so I may leave that one another week or so, just to make sure that that it's appropriately, the water is appropriately evaporated, the bees have appropriately capped it off, and it's actually ready to go. But the 2, definitely the 3 in the middle here, maybe the next 2 are ready to go. And we'll see how much honey we get. So I'll bring you guys back when I've collected that honey so you can see how much we got from the frames. And you can see some of the closing up procedures and whatnot. But this is harvest 1 of the honey we're going to have.